Hello and welcome, Rangers. I'm Joe here with my co-host Dan.
Hello and greetings.
And today we're discussing my favorite Psycho Ranger, Psycho Yellow, the greatest schemer, and honestly the cleverest of the Psycho Rangers, and the least maternal. Now, the funny thing about Psycho Yellow is that she doesn't seem like she's based off only one OG Yellow Ranger in some ways. Yes, she seems like a shadow to Trini, whom was very soft-spoken, quiet, and wise. Psycho Yellow is not quiet, is more cunning than wise, and is not at all soft-spoken. She's also seeming like a shadow version of Aisha, whom was blunt, obnoxious, and tended to be a go-getter. So in this regard, she's basically like she's a shadow to two of them. Where Aisha and Trini always sought to nurture Kimberly in particular, Psycho Yellow seeks to prod, poke, and otherwise ridicule and drive Psycho Pink nuts with the goal of using Psycho Pink like one might a tiger. The thing about Psycho Yellow is she is a schemer, but her attempts to drive Psycho Pink nuts is to use her as a battering ram to get what she herself wants. With Psycho Yellow often also manipulating Psycho Red, Psycho Blue, Psycho Black, and just generally using everyone she runs into. She is keen to kill Ashley, for example, but she briefly underestimates Psycho Pink and the two start infighting after Ashley is captured. On the other hand, it is partially Ashley's fault for allowing herself to be captured like that. But Ashley isn't always the cleverest of the Space Rangers. She's not TJ or Cassie, to be quite honest. Or even Andros. Andros can be clever. But what Ashley is not stupid. So the minute the two start infighting, she decides, screw it, I'm gone. Which, yeah, good for her. A stupid person would have stuck around, but not Ashley. That said, Psycho Yellow is someone who has quite a bit of muscle, but she doesn't seem like she has as much muscle as some of the other Psycho Rangers. But she's probably the most lethal because she's a lot smarter than them.
And she's a complete sadist.
Yeah. But at the same time. She is willing to jump straight to the kill with Ashley. So she's not entirely a sadist, I would argue. So I'm going to disagree with you.
But laughing at Psycho Pink dies?
Well, as Psycho Pink basically is driven bonkers by her schemes, yeah, okay, that's not exactly okay. It's Psycho Yellow, though. It's not just her relationship with not Cassie, but Psycho Pink that's notable, is that she often does goad the other Psycho Rangers. And she's often the first to start strategizing when things start to go awry. In this regard, you can see the Shadow Trini element, in that Trini was often one of the most perceptive Rangers. Same with Aisha at times. Aisha, though, was simply probably one of the most skilled and most fierce fighters of the Power Rangers ever. She was also very smart and very resourceful. Psycho Yellow has both these sets of qualities. She just seems like a powerhouse. And she just seems like she's just always got her eye on the ball. So I don't think she's a sadist. In hindsight, I think she's much more of a goal-driven psychopath. She's determined to get what she wants, and she wants Ashley dead. And she'll stop at nothing else. She doesn't care about anything else. Yes, she wants to enjoy it, but the greatest enjoyment comes in the actual deed, not in the process of the deed. In that regard, she's not so foolish as, say, Psycho Blue or Psycho Pink. That said, she has no sense of loyalty or honor. about her. And she is clearly willing to sacrifice the other Psycho Rangers. She's not really well utilized in Lost Galaxy, though, which is a big mistake in Lost Galaxy. If they had used her as the In Space series had, oh boy, would we have been in for some great episodes. Because she would have manipulated, schemed, and otherwise just lied and tricked people into doing what she wanted.
That's an interesting thought, because had there been an extended storyline involving the Psycho Rangers in Lost Galaxy, that
would have been pretty neat. Yeah. The trouble is, Psycho Yellow is not put to good use. Now, Lost Galaxy also gets a little unrealistic in that having Maya, who ironically has the same personality as Psycho Yellow and the same tendencies, except she's a bit more sadistic and gluttonous than Psycho Yellow, which is funny when the Ranger seems less likable than the Psycho Ranger. That's pretty funny. And Maya, as incompetent as she is, and Ashley, as mediocre as she is, teaming up to defeat Psycho Yellow is utterly preposterous. In that regard, that was just such a bizarre event to happen. I don't think the two of them should have been able to keep up. It should have been 1, 2, 3, done. And that's where I don't think they should even be able to keep up for 5 seconds. It's just that Psycho Yellow is a skilled fighter. Maya and Ashley, not really. Ashley is a good person, just not the best Ranger fighter. She's a long-range specialist. As for Maya, honestly, I'm cheering for Psycho Yellow. Out of those two. I know I should lie and pretend all so that people will like me and subscribe. No, I'm going to tell you the truth. I never liked Maya. She just seems like Garfield the cat, except I like Garfield. He's funny.
Yeah.
And the only reason people like her is she's got cleavage and long legs. But it's not the actress's fault. It's the writing that portrays Maya as honestly being a psycho version of Psycho Yellow.
A very self-centered child.
Yeah. Honestly, Rita Repulsa has more charm to her as a person. Which is saying a lot. I would trust Goldar more. But Psycho Yellow, there's no way she should have lost there.
She was essentially relegated to background.
Yeah, which is a shame because she's the most interesting Psycho Ranger. She's my favorite. But there's not much more to say other than the fact that she has a weird rivalry with Psycho Pink, as mentioned. She goads Psycho Red and Psycho Blue and is willing to just completely abandon Psycho Pink to the Power Rangers because, screw it, it's not me. On the other hand, I think Psycho Yellow has a good estimation of the abilities of Psycho Pink. And that she estimated that Psycho Pink might be able to take one of them down with her. Which, given how powerful Psycho Pink is, and given that she's able to do that in Lost Galaxy, Psycho Yellow is right. Psycho Pink is the strongest of the Psycho Rangers. And that's pretty much a nod to the original 6 Power Rangers, because for a time, Kimberly was the most powerful of the original Mighty Morphin Rangers. But when the White Ranger outfit was created, White became the strongest. But until then, Pink was the strongest. And we all know how too much pink energy is dangerous.
Yes, we could ask Terra Venture about that.
Yeah, but in the case of Psycho Yellow, I think too much yellow energy is dangerous as well. Because, can you imagine had she survived against the Lost Galaxy and In Space Rangers? She'd have been utterly ruthless and dangerous. She would have probably hunted down and slain Maya, which would have actually been a favor to the Lost Galaxy Rangers.
What would have been terrifying is if she decided to team up with Trakina or Deviant.
Yeah, she's liable to. And then, I mean, no offense, but I see her probably backstabbing Deviant and then doing what he did to Drakina, fusing with Drakina possibly. Except, I'm going to be honest, I think that would be an even more insane match, a more dangerous one than Deviant. I think Psycho Yellow would be totally willing to do that. But weirdly, I think Psycho Yellow might come out the dominant personality between her and Drakina. But she'd be even more seductive, more cunning, and more powerful. And I'm going to be honest, she'd be so manipulative. The one swordsman guy who betrayed her, Drakina I mean, would not betray. He'd fire on that kid. He'd fire on Terra Venture. Only because he'd be so caught up in her spell. And the only reason I argue that is Psycho Yellow has that effect sometimes. And Drakina, if she was backed up by Psycho Yellow's perceptiveness and cunning and ruthlessness, not to mention power, along with Scorpius's power, that'd be a scary match. Deviant was very short-sighted and just had to backstab everyone. Psycho Yellow as well, but Psycho Yellow did like to try to make sure to weave a bit of a spider web around them. Honestly, I'd say that it's the difference between Drakina becoming like Darth Vader in Episode 3 and fused with Psycho Yellow becoming like Kerrigan from StarCraft after she was infested.
And that's a scary thought.
Yeah. So we did luck out that Psycho Yellow went down and that Drakina was not fused with her. If not, Psycho Yellow would have probably jumped into that thing, and without Drakina, would have come out more powerful herself. And honestly, I think that'd be scarier than Drakina. Because can you imagine how dangerous Psycho Yellow would be with that kind of power?
And we're well aware that Drakina, even without that power, was dangerous.
But can you imagine Psycho Yellow with that power instead?
Oof.
Yeah. Arguably, Psycho Yellow, I'm going to argue she's in some ways a bigger threat than even Drakina. Just due to how clever and underhanded she is. Drakina tends to focus on short-term goals and lose sight of long-term goals. Psycho Yellow's a bit better at the long-term goal than the short-term goal. But if she had a bit more power, she'd be even more dangerous. That's all she needs, is a bit more power. And that's the problem. Thankfully, everybody always ends up making sure she doesn't get more power, because even the villains don't want Psycho Yellow getting stronger. Because they realize she is dangerous.
And who's the bet after getting such power, she wouldn't challenge Lord Zed?
Well, I don't think she'd challenge Lord Zed, but she'd challenge everyone else. I think she'd carve her own empire.
And that's scary.
Yeah. Zed, I don't think she'd go that far. I think she'd know, I better not challenge that guy. But so long as I'm out of his reach and I'm out here, maybe I can, for a time, carve my own empire and do what I want. I think, if anything, she'd challenge Drakina. But if she had the power of Scorpius behind her, she'd dominate Drakina and destroy her. Then she'd take up Drakina's mantle almost and just chase after the Lost Galaxy Rangers. Except, in my opinion, she would not be defeated. But I have a very high opinion of Psycho Yellow's abilities, because I think she's very, very clever. And very, very, very dangerous. But I think that, in some ways, she is more akin to Sauron, to the figure of Morgoth that is Lord Zed in some ways. So, anyways, tell us what you think. Do you think Psycho Yellow's the best, the worst? Does she rock? Am I grossly over-exaggerating her abilities? Say so in the comment section. And don't forget to smash that like and that subscribe button as though you were Aisha taking down one of her enemies.